Probably smoother if we just start with me sitting rather than stumbling and tripping in.
Yeah.
I think that was like the same question that I asked no. Okay. Okay, so do I just start again?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Raewyn. I'm going to be an interviewer today. So just tell me a few things about yourself and why you're here.
Hi, well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to contribute to the project and to the community. I'm really happy to be able to do that. I'm Steve Sepora, and I'm running for Whakatāne District Council. My wife, Kat, and I moved to New Zealand from Canada about 7 years ago, and we've planned to spend the rest of our lives here in Whakatāne and make it our home. It's a fantastic place, and I've worked in about 20 countries and in a wide range of industries, including environmental protection. And for me, because of that, I can really see how special a place this is. It is a wonderful place that we need to, really need to appreciate.
Wow, that's honestly so awesome. So, when you say that you're in the environmental, what was it again? The environmental protection. Do you think that you'll bring that to Whakatāne as well, with helping like prevent plastic and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So I think our environment is really important, and there are a few things that I think council can do better, and one of them is recycling. So right now, you may be aware we're only recycling types 1 and 2 plastics, and that's just because there isn't a market for the other plastics. And my view is that if our council works with other councils as well as central government, that we can promote the establishment of recycling industries, so businesses that take those waste plastics and convert them into good products. So that's one of the things that I would plan to do to really get those industries going, so that we can do more curbside recycling of other plastics. And on the water side, I think it's really important that we continue to upgrade our wastewater and drinking water treatment facilities, and that's also one of my key goals.
That is honestly so awesome. Okay, so what do you find very, very passionate about with Kopeopeo, I guess?
Well, for me, I'm really keen to see Whakatāne, Kopeopeo, and all the people and businesses here be the best that they can be. And to do that, I really want to use my previous experience to work really hard as a councillor to help make that happen.
Okay, that's awesome. So what is your fondest memory?
Well, there's quite a few, but one thing as I was thinking about answering this question that really stuck in my mind was when I was a teenager going out fishing on our little aluminum boat on lakes in Ontario with my dad. And we never really caught much, but it was just a great time to laugh and talk. And it was a really special time because when we were younger, we really didn't have a lot of time to spend together when I was a small child. So it was a really special time to be able to spend that time later in life.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so who is someone you admire and look up to?
So for me, it's not about admiring a certain person. It's really about admiring anybody that demonstrates some really key skills and attributes. So for me, one of the most important things is continuous learning. And that's not just in school, that's really in all aspects of life. And then confidence and optimism to recognize your own strengths and use those strengths to build a career and enjoy your activities. And also realism and self-awareness. So everybody has things that could use improvement. And I think to be realistic, self-aware, and then to step out of your comfort zone to get to improve those areas for improvement is a really good thing. And then finally, just hard work and determination. The world is full of opportunities, but there's also lots of challenges and hurdles to overcome. And from what I've seen in life, just about anything worth doing is actually pretty hard to do, and it takes a lot of effort. So you need that determination.
Wow, that's honestly so cool. Okay, so tell me about your youth, because you said that you came from Canada, so it must be very different from New Zealand as well. So.
Actually, I don't think it's all that different. First of all, let me tell you about my parents, because their lives probably were really different. My father finished middle school, and then he had to go and work in a coal mine to help support his family. And my mother, when she finished high school, she went and had to work as a farm laborer, and that was because they lived in Europe in some pretty tough times. They lost everything. Their families lost everything, and in fact, family members in World War II, and came to Canada when they were in their early 20s, and they had nothing. They basically arrived off the boat and had to start working because otherwise they'd be starving on the street. So my father, before I was born, he started taking some night school courses and learned drafting and bookkeeping and a few other things. But when I was growing up, he worked really long hours. For a while, he had 2 full-time jobs, and I hardly ever saw him. But we grew up in an average neighborhood. We always had food, a clean, warm house. But we didn't have enough money for luxuries like eating in restaurants. And when I was a little kid, basically my clothes were always either hand-me-downs from my older brother, or they were homemade by my mom, or just, really cheap things bought in, very inexpensive stores. And we didn't have, great toys, very nice car, very nice furniture, nothing. But then when I was about 10, my parents' hard work started paying off, and life did start to get a little bit better. But I didn't stop. I sort of took that those young experiences to heart. And on my 14th birthday, I started working in a actually less than minimum wage job to start saving for my education and a car. When I was 17, I left home for uni, and from then on I supported myself. So I worked between semesters in mines in northern Canada, and I never had student loans. I always, lived with lived with friends and shared flats and things like that, and worked my way through college. So I didn't just have successes either, and like all other kids, there was lots of challenges, and I made lots of mistakes. First of all, I was pretty shy and terrified of public speaking when I was a kid, but I also crashed my first car, and it was totally demolished. But luckily, we weren't hurt. And I also failed a semester at uni and had to repeat a whole year. So, I think everybody goes through things like that. But the key is to overcome your mistakes and learn from them and just keep looking forward and moving on. So just in summary, I think I was a really privileged kid, but not in the normal sense. We didn't have a lot of money, but what we did have is parents who really taught us that if we have confidence in ourselves and work hard, we'll do well. And it's really to be confident in knowing that you will be successful if you try.
That's really awesome. So do you think that if you grew up in different circumstances, do you think that your childhood would have been different and that your life would have had a different outcome to it?
I think your environment is really important. So I think absolutely. I think depending on your environment, you're always going to have different outcomes. Like I think every small baby is the same basically on average. They're all smart or not smart, and it doesn't matter where they were born. What really matters is the environment. And I think probably having a very modest background probably made me work harder. So I think people sometimes, I know people and have had friends that haven't been successful, but they've never had any problems. They never really had to be successful. So I think it can be an advantage, but certainly I do think that your environment plays a huge role into how you basically end up in your life.
Okay, so what were your goals and aspirations when you were younger? And how did you achieve them?
Well, this is another pretty long story, so I hope that's okay. I wasn't really good at school at the beginning. My parents used to practice reading and arithmetic with me on evenings and weekends. And until I was about 9, basically every night and both days on every weekend, and for my whole life until then, I had to practice the stuff that I wasn't doing well at school. And I wasn't actually very good at sports either. So when I was that age, I was kind of wondering what the heck I was ever going to do, if I was ever going to be good at anything. But actually in about grade 5, I started getting better grades at school. And it was still always hard work. And I did know, though, that if I got the right education, my life would be better. So about goals, I didn't actually ever, at a young age, have specific goals. I never thought I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a social worker, or I want to be a builder. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. But I did know that I didn't want to have to struggle through life like my parents. And I knew that the key to that was to develop some kind of skills. And I was also keen to see the world, and someday I wanted to work abroad. And I knew I didn't want to do one job all of my life. I wanted to have variety. I wanted to be able to do different things. So what did I do? I worked really hard developing skills in math, in science, in communication and languages, but also in life skills. It wasn't always fun to go to school, but I knew I had to suck it up. But I also knew that it was really important to get more than just book learning. So I started to get part-time jobs to prove that I had initiative and was a good worker. And to me, it was more important in some ways to gain those skills than it was to actually just get the money. They're both important. And during high schools, I swept floors and I stocked shelves in a dairy, and I worked as a dishwasher and a cook in a restaurant. So lots of interesting character-building jobs, but not necessarily the best jobs. In uni, between semesters, I worked in mines in northern Canada, and I was always open to new experiences. So once in high school, I spent one summer doing the Naval Basic Training Program to see if I would want to be in the armed forces. It turns out I decided I didn't want to be, but I finished the program, and it was a really good experience. So when it came time to choices, I always did my research and tried to figure out what sorts of paths would lead to the best opportunities, and tried to take advantages of those. So I studied chemical engineering in university, and then in my 30s, I did a master's in business administration. And I've worked in over 20 countries and visited over 50. And I've worked as an engineer, a manager, and an executive in several different industries. And even though I didn't have specific goals when I was 17, I can say that I succeeded in having an interesting life with lots of challenges and lots of travel. And, I think anybody can be successful. It may sound like, wow, this guy's done a lot of stuff. But really, it's really just about hard work. And I'm not that smart. I really had to work hard in school. It's really just about knowing what you want to do, and maybe not knowing what you want to do in 20 years, but next year I want to have this, this accomplishment, and just keeping at it and being confident in just yourself and knowing that you can do it.
Cool. Thank you. Alrighty, so who are our youth of Kopeopeo?
Well, from what I've seen, most of the youth in Kopeopeo are really proud of their heritage and want to stay connected with their culture. They want to prosper in their own lives, but they also want to help their community become a great place to live. So I think they want a sustainable future, and they want to connect both globally, and they don't want to see their parents leave their environment on the brink, basically.
So do you notice the different stereotypes here in Kopeopeo as well?
Not sure I understand the question. I think what I basically see a welcoming community here. Yeah.
I'll just elaborate the question for you. So stereotypes, like we have different kids born on different backgrounds. So we have kids that are kind of involved with like kind of gang signs as well, and then we have kids that are just like kicking back, just hanging out with their friends, and then we also just have like just kids going with their families, going to Pack and Save, and just going straight back home. Like, have you recognized any of that?
Yeah, I'd say definitely. But I think, again, when you're, just about anywhere, you see different walks of life. So, I mean, I think that you always see lots of different types of people wherever you go. And, some of the things you mentioned, the sort of, gang kids, the, kids hanging out with friends, I think I see that everywhere in New Zealand and probably everywhere in the world. It's, you just see that diversity.
So, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. What is it like to be a person your age in Kopeopeo?
Well, for me, like I said, I don't actually live here, but I come here pretty much every week to shop. So I really just see a vibrant community. And it's a friendly and welcoming community. I mean, all of the people I meet in stores are really friendly and just, I think, glad to be speaking with me.
Okay, so what's another one? Oh yes, do you think that it would be the exact same vibrant energy that would be around nighttime as well?
I haven't spent much time here at night. I have come to the restaurants a few times, and it's very quiet. I mean, I just find that the streets are virtually empty at night, which is a shame. Like, I like to see like people out and about on the street and interacting, and going to cafes, and it seems like the streets kind of shut down at night. And then that's Whakatāne. It's not just Kopeopeo. It's the whole town basically gets very quiet in the evening.
What's another question? Oh yes, what do you think the young people of our rohe, which is area, want our decision makers to know about them?
Well, I think they want their council to recognize that they are the future of the community, and that's key. I think they want council to know that they need to experience a whole bunch of different activities, and namely cultural activities, arts, sports, outdoor activities, and that's going to help them reach their full potential. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that kids everywhere face, is just having the opportunities to do enough things so that they can understand their potential and then achieve their full potential. So I think that's a key. I also think that they want council to, they want council to know that they want to connect with their global community, but not lose their history or their culture, what makes them who they are and where they're from. And again, I think I mentioned it before, I don't think they want the older generation to leave them with a mess to clean up. So to me, those are probably the key things. But just to make sure that I've got that right, what do you think? Do I have it right?
What was it? Yeah, I think you've pretty much got it done. But do you think that the council would make any major decisions to help the youth? What was it? I completely forgot the question. Never mind, it's gone, never mind. It's completely gone. Do you think it's important for everyone to vote?
Absolutely. I think, you probably hear this from everybody, but just as citizens, I think it's our duty to vote, and not just to vote, but to spend some time to really understand the issues in society, not just here in our district, but globally, in our country. And if we can just really spend, a couple of hours a week, or even maybe an hour a week, just thinking about and learning about current events, then, I think everybody, by doing that, just gets a little bit of passion in their heart to say, well, this could be done better. These people can represent me. I don't like what these people are doing. And if everybody just does that and then votes, I think the world will be a better place. So I think it is key, really, really important for everybody to vote. And I'm pretty sure that I've voted in every single election that I've been eligible to vote in since I was 18. And to me, it's always just been really important. And often my preferred candidate doesn't get in, but at least I've done my best. I can't say that, you know, the wrong guy got in if I didn't vote. If I didn't vote, then I have no business complaining.
Okay, that's awesome. And I think that's all the questions. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. That was awesome.